This is Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell on the Forge Audio Network.
Forge fans, welcome back to another week of Forge Daily. Today is June 19th, 2023. I'm your host, Mackenzie Barwell, here to give you all things Forge FC. In a little bit of a transition period right now, the team doesn't return to Hamilton until Wednesday after tomorrow's matchup. So for today's episode, we are going to do a quick recap of what happened on Friday and then turn to tomorrow's matchup against Vancouver FC. Later on, I am joined by Forge FC's Noah Jensen via Zoom, and we talked about the process of traveling, but also preparing for a game at the same time. He also touches on his overall experience with the team since signing in 2022. But first, let's rewind and go over what you saw on Friday against Valor. A frustrating outcome, to say the least. Forge finished the match with a total of 55.5% possession and an expected goals rating of 1.65 compared to Valor FC's 0.26. But numbers don't really matter in this case because Forge FC ultimately falling short in a 2-0 loss. Valor opened the scoring in the first half, 39th minute, and then would bury a second one in the 63rd. Forge now hold a record of 5 wins, 3 losses, and 4 draws in all competitions now in 2023. But some room for redemption. The team is now in BC for their second matchup against Vancouver FC. The last time these two teams met up was in Hamilton exactly a month ago today, actually. It was May 19th. Either side would settle for a point after finishing the game in a 0-0 draw. Vancouver now sitting at the bottom of the league with a total of 7 points. In their last 5 games, they've collected 3 losses and 2 draws. So Forge definitely looking to pull away with 3 extra points tomorrow night. But the last time they played Vancouver, they proved to be a team who can compete. So an easy match is not to be expected. All right, let's get into my conversation with Noah Jensen. We talked about where the team is at now, but also his experience as an individual player. Noah, thank you so much for joining me here on Forge Daily. I'm very happy to have you. Wanted to start by asking, how are you feeling? How's the team feeling? Because it's not easy playing 2 games in the span of 3 to 4 days, and let alone traveling from Winnipeg to Vancouver.
Yeah, the travel is fun. It's nice being around the team, but to go through 3 time zones in the past week is not the enjoyable part. But we're getting through it. We're getting rested up. We're training well, and we're ready to go tomorrow night against Vancouver.
So is there some training that takes place in this kind of weird transition period? How do you kind of balance the rest and recovery from Friday's match, but also preparation for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because obviously we had a game very recently, but then we also had the 3-hour flight from Winnipeg to Vancouver. So that's something you always have to take into consideration, giving us enough resting time to allow our bodies to regenerate to our max capacity. But our training has been managed. We were able to get a session in after the game in Winnipeg, and then get a session in yesterday. So we just got the one today, match day -1, and then the big game tomorrow.
And you're not doing any tourism in BC, I guess, eh?
No, unfortunately not. The best we can do is just stare out the window as we drive to this training facility. So
Okay, so before we get into what to expect tomorrow, I kind of want to narrow in on your experience as a player individually for now. You played League One with Sigma FC, right, for about 4 years?
it sounds about right.
Yeah, I'll pretend like I didn't do the research before, okay?
I trust you. I trust that is accurate.
How influential were those years for you? Because I've talked to a few of your teammates, and they've also said that they came from Sigma. And can you point out who those guys were that you still play with now?
Yeah, so Malcolm Duncan, who just signed this year, him and we were actually teammates when we were 11 years old before Sigma, and then we met again at Sigma when I was 15, just joining the club. So I've been friends with Malcolm for a long time, but over that period, I played with Tristan Borges, Tristan Henry, Dominic Samuel, sorry, a bunch of other names. And just kind of shows you how influential Sigma was on all of our careers. Sigma was a great thing for me at the time when I joined. It kind of gave me a platform to expose myself to American universities, which was my goal at the time. And then when I came back during the summers of university to play with Sigma, I was given the opportunity to come in and train at Forge, get accustomed with the environment a little bit, and just kind of become familiar with the CPL, which was an amazing thing for my development, and it was an amazing opportunity, I think, for the coaches to see me in this environment and see what I can do.
I'm curious when you were able to play under Bobby and get that experience from him as a coach, did you find that the transition to the CPL was a little bit smoother because you continued playing for him?
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you asked anyone who came into an environment coached by Bobby, you would say that it's a little intimidating at first, which I think is a very realistic analysis of the way that he kind of handles himself and creates an environment in training and outside of training in our preparation for each game. So from that perspective, he definitely prepared me. He showed me what I needed to expect. But also, Bobby's a very good coach at getting the best out of his players. He knows how everyone kind of needs to be treated and handled to be able to get the best out of them every single day. And so I think personally, me knowing him a long time and him knowing a lot of our players a long time has really helped with that. And that goes a long way in a professional environment when you can manage your players very well and continuously get the best out of them.
Yeah, for sure. And even though you did have that familiarity on a coaching level, do you remember there being one big shift, I guess I could say, in terms of going from that USL Division Two league into the CPL?
You did do your research.
Bang, right up here.
Yeah, so I played in USL League Two with the Flint City Bucks. That was the first summer, I believe, that I hadn't come back and played with Sigma. I stayed in Michigan and
Right,
played
right.
there. So that was kind of like a new challenge for me, and I think it was a good challenge to kind of put myself in a uncomfortable environment, one that I wasn't really accustomed to, one where I was playing with new players under new coaches, just giving myself an opportunity to kind of prove myself to a different audience. That was a great experience for me. I know I met a lot of guys who play in the professional ranks now. It was a very high quality team, but it was definitely very different from Sigma, I'd say, because I know some of my closest friends that I've made in football are from my Sigma 99 team. And we were really a close knit group, and the bonds that I made with my teammates, are friendships that'll last forever. So I think that was a little bit of an adjustment for me, but yeah, I still say playing USL League Two was a good experience for me. It gave me a good platform to show myself to other coaches and scouts who maybe had not seen me play before.
Do you feel that that kind of culture or that like close knit feeling within the team that also kind of translated into your time with Forge as well? Not just because you played with some of them at Sigma, but just because that's kind of the reality of the club.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the things that Forge has done the best out of any team in the CPL so far is even from the first day that they were created, I watched, all the players get announced that were signing, and they're all players that had played together before. It wasn't like you were going into preseason with 25 different guys, who you had never seen step on the field together. So I think that has been carried over to now. But I do also think that, Bobby's done a good job at like players like myself and Malcolm. We've been in the environment before, even though it was just training. We know what the team is like. The players know what we are like, and just kind of having a gauge of where you fit in, how to fit in, kind of helps with that transition because it's tough always going into a locker room of guys who are all friends with each other, and you're just kind of the new person just trying to wade your way in there. But I think that us being in that locker room before really really helped us out and helped with the transition of becoming a part of the team.
Now being a part of such a tight knit group and potentially also having some mentors coming into the team, what are the kinds of conversations that are had in the locker room after a game like Fridays?
It's tough because I think, especially after performances like that, everyone's obviously disappointed. It's 100% not the result we wanted. It's not the performance we wanted or needed. Um, but again, like if you look at the bigger picture, it's not the end of the world. Teams lose games every week, and yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement. But at the same time, you can't kill yourself over just one poor performance. And so it's tough to manage that in the group. Obviously, some guys are like they want to reflect after the game, be quiet, stick to themselves. But there's also an element of, grabbing the guy next to you and having a conversation with them and making sure everyone's on the same page and able to take some positives away from the game. And hopefully that teaches us a lesson going forward. Um, and you speak about mentors, we have 25 mentors in our locker room. I think everyone's really taken on a role of helping the guys around them. I know for me, it's been nice to have a lot of I hate to call them older guys, but they're older than me. So like guys like Kyle and Ashton and Alex, even Tristan Borges, they've all done a lot for me off the field, not just in terms of football, but just teaching me life lessons, which is stuff that I'm incredibly grateful for. But there's also the guys who are like around my age, like Garvin and Alessandro, who are guys who I have really good friendships with, and we kind of go through all this stuff together. It's our first time experiencing all of it, so it's nice to have like the different levels of mentorship in the locker room, because there's some guys teaching you stuff, but then there's some guys you just are getting through it together.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Also, just because they're older than you doesn't mean the guy who's the same age next to you can't also be a mentor to you. So I 100% see where you're coming from.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's definitely one of our strongest attributes is we have so many guys that are willing to put someone under their arm and to pick them up after when they're down. And yeah, that goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really cool. Now you guys obviously have a chance to kind of turn things around tomorrow. And I guess this question is for you individually. Do you use last Friday's match as kind of motivation, or do you just go into tomorrow with a fresh mindset and clean slate kind of thing?
I think, our definitely, I think it's been our last four results. We haven't really been what we've wanted. We've been disappointed after all of them. And so I think that gives you a little bit of motivation, because someone's gonna have to kickstart the winning by putting the ball in the back of the net, I think. So that's a motivator for everyone. But at the same time, we know the quality of team that we are. We know the quality of players that we have. But we also know that, it's not just good enough to show up and expect to win games. We're going to have to put in work, put in effort, and outperform the way that we've been showing up to our last couple games. So we know that's going to be the case. And yeah, we're just going to have to bring it all against Vancouver.
My one thing before we wrap this up. You mentioned that you and Malcolm had been playing together since you were 11. Do you feel when you're like on the pitch together, is there like a special connection?
There is a special connection. And another one, me and Tristan Borges, we used to train together when I was about like 10 years old. He would have been 11. So me and Borges have been friends for a long, long time. That's why we're roommates on all these trips. Malcolm and I, we played at Power Soccer, which is a interesting place, when we were 11 years old. I think Malcolm was a winger back then, and I was a striker. So we we've definitely come a full 180 since then. But yeah, he's been a guy that I've known for a long time, and playing with him at Sigma, we went on a lot of long bus trips together. We've got to know each other really well. Like I said before, that Sigma 99 team that we had, we're all amazing friends. There's a lot of guys on that team that I know he's still friends with, I'm still friends with, and friendships like that in football go a long way. You don't search for them that often, but they just appear out of nowhere, and they're friendships that last for a lifetime. So I'm very happy that he's now my teammate. He's a part of our team, and we're able to work on the same field once again, which has been great.
Maybe a little telepathy when you're on the field.
Exactly. We have that unspoken connection.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. It literally took me 5 minutes to come up with the word special connection. I was like, that is not what I that is not what I
It's
meant.
okay. We got there in the end.
We got there in the
That's
end.
all that matters.
Okay, Noah, that's all I have. I really appreciate you coming on, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
That'll wrap up my interview with Noah Jensen. I will be back on Wednesday for another episode of Forge Daily and Behind the Beard. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you then. And in the meantime, enjoy the game tomorrow at 10 p.m. on One Soccer.
This has been Forge Daily with Mackenzie Barwell. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share.
Is Borges in the room listening right now?
He literally just walked in, which is funny because we were talking about it.
Okay, tell him I'll give a special shout out on the podcast.
Borges, you get a special shout out on the podcast. He says thank you.